Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned in to the Underdog.
Hello, Underdog. Thanks for having me. Libito laka ke nna Thato Montsho, but on stage I am better known as Jae Nuune. I am a singer-songwriter and creative, all-round creative. I own an accessories brand, something similar to what I'm wearing, and I also crochet. So design as well is in there, along with graphics and stuff like that. So basically anything related to art, I try and infiltrate it as best as I can, Yeah, I also curate sessions and shows called the Jae Nuune Experience, and currently trying to start up another one called Intimate Sessions. So yeah, I basically work on bringing artists together. I grew up with my mom and my dad, exposed to a lot of music. My dad actually introduced me to a lot of artists that could be an influence to also how I deliver my music and interact with people, I was going to ciphers and sessions, podcast, weekend, and yeah, I've always liked what creativity does to people. Like the most quiet, introverted person becomes totally different once they step up on that stage, and I always found that very fascinating. So that brought me to it. That brought me to music. Yes. Music for me became a good source of self-expression. I was a very closed-off child growing up. I found it a bit challenging expressing myself around people, but whenever I was on that mic and whenever I was on that stage and I would see the reactions that people have in relation to what I'm saying, I just fell in love with it because it allowed me an outlet where I would usually be a very bottled up person. So, yes, that's basically what music has done for me. It has introduced me to also a lot of people. It also has forced me to embrace my authenticity because there's so much influence in art. So it helps me harness my character. My music journey started through poetry. This was, around high school times, obviously, going to sessions and ciphers. And from there, I had a friend that was already a singer, doing weddings and all of that. So I became her backing vocalist. And she one day just approached me and said, "You have quite a strong voice. You should, consider doing your own stuff," because I would love doing covers. I grew up listening to Erykah Badu and Sade and, so many different artists, Bob Marley, all of these people exposed to me by my father. So being able to see how they were doing it, I think gave me that illusion until it became reality that I can, stand on stage and address a crowd and demand attention and interaction. And as I've been growing with it, making my mistakes, sometimes underestimating the power of the stage, I have learned. I trip, I fall, I get up, and I just keep learning. It just keeps calling me, and I just keep going, and I just keep coming. So I'll give you a good experience and a bad one. For the bad experience, basically, I was invited to a show, very short, notice, last minute, and I had to go on with the band. And it was a band that I didn't know. We didn't have a chance to rehearse. We didn't know each other's sound. But we went on, and it was horrible. It was horrible, but I think what I like about music is it will always throw you a ball, and whether you catch it or not. So luckily, because I'm quick on my feet, I decided I freestyled because luckily they knew each other, so their sound was more compatible than the music I was making. So I ended up, just kind of now having to gel my sound into theirs, and people didn't notice that horrible moment that I experienced. And then the good one was actually getting on the reggae festival Catch a Fire this year, and it was on my birthday, and I've always wanted to do a festival, and my band was on point, it was crisp, it was really amazing. And the crowd there does not know my sound at all, so I took my tracks and I flipped them into a bit of reggae dub sound, and the response was actually quite amazing. It was a good motivation for me. So that underestimating how being flexible with your sound, everything has an element of art. How you do your work is an art on its own. A teacher being able to explain until you actually understand and you can do the same thing, that is an art. And it would be a wonderful thing for me to actually see how all those things can come together and show the communities that rely on outside assistance, if I can use that word, to actually rely on what they can do and come together and formulate a movement, a togetherness, because one thing I've noticed is I'm surrounded by so many people who have very, very big capabilities, but they question it so much because of approval that has absolutely nothing to do with the success of what they want to do. And I always feel like, even through my music, that's what I always try to tell people, that look within yourself. We might be experiencing the same things, but we're not experiencing it in the same way. And being able to share those experiences is what helps us learn. So I used to think being an artist and being tattoo was two different things, and I would always try and separate those lines. But the more I've just understood that it is who I am, is the more I am being more open to showing all aspects of it. That there are times that I really don't want to be doing music. I don't know how many times I've woken up and said, okay, guys, I tried it. Everybody knows, at least there's some music out there to show that I did this thing. I'm going to try something new, but there's always something that would call me back. It would be how maybe somebody I didn't expect to be listening to my music to say, yo, that song that you released, I actually listen to it all the time. I was going through this when I was listening to it, and you helped me get through this and this and that. And immediately there's an openness for conversation to allow you into my life, and my pleasure in you allowing me into knowing what you are going through, So me being an artist and doing these curations and, doing these graphic designs and meeting with young people and teaching them what I know is for that, is to always just remind them that there is always something that you can do, and how you decide to execute your ability will determine how far it can take you. A lot of people go to school and have certificates but the unemployment rate in our country is ridiculous. But there's so many educated people out there. That's why everybody's now trying to start their own thing, and because we are now seeing the importance of actually having what is yours is more difficult for people to take it away than to always rely on somebody to give it to you. So that's what I'm gradually trying to show people. Sense in terms of humaning, just being human. It explained a lot of things for me as well, in terms of understanding myself and allowing myself to be different, not following the norm, and being okay with being misunderstood. So yes, I'm spiritual in the sense that it has helped me center, meditating, praying, fasting. I am that girl. I do those things. And this is because I do tend to feel like I lose myself, get carried away with how things happen in this world. So spirituality for me is my anchor. Yeah. In 5 years, I believe in the progress of my music. I'm seeing it gradually build up now. So I believe in how far it's going to go. I believe in the growth of my brands. In 5 years, I would love to be able to, employ young women, young kids, be a positive influence and help make a change where I can for the people that believe in me, including myself. 5 years, 5 years is a long time, but I'm enjoying the changes that come with each cycle of life in terms of years, in terms of weeks, days, in time, So I'm just really allowing myself to go with the flow because I used to want to tick boxes and, achieve this by this time. And the more the goalpost moved was the more I would question my abilities instead of, going with it. So I have learned to just go with it and not to change the goal. The plan might change, directions to get to where I want to go may change, but never losing the focus on what I want to achieve. Women up. Women empowerment is a must. We are powerhouses. We get things done. We are strong. We are very strong in terms of mentality, even in a physical manner. Women can really do amazing things. So I believe in that empowerment because I believe it's the change that the world probably needs right now, and society, and also women to own back their power, and to remember their worth and their abilities and not to succumb and, lower standards for things that are irrelevant. So I believe in women empowerment in that sense that the more we come together, the more things are possible. Women have this stern belief of individuality, which I also agree with completely. However, I have noticed how it kind of creates an invisible separation as well because I want to be different from you and I want people to notice and I want people to see. But with all of that, it can also come in a very positive way that your differences and mine are there to create a very good duality. The contrast, it's what makes things happen. So the more women come together, the more we can empower each other. And the more we empower each other, the more I believe positive changes can happen in community, in society, in life in general. Yeah. I listen to a lot of artists, yes, but because I am an artist myself, I really do not want to take a lot of my musical direction from other artists. I prefer tapping into my own experiences, which usually what I write would guide the type of sound and direction the project will take. Like I'm saying with Evolve, there was a lot more evolving. I was growing, I was discovering my calling, I was attaining to it, I was taking time by myself, I was self-introspecting. So that project Evolve and the songs that are on there are about that, are about bits and pieces of myself that I was reintroduced to through solitude, through my experiences. But as artists that really are expressive for me. As I say, I grew up listening to Erykah Badu and Joe Scott and Sade. So maybe my, musical direction is the way it is because of those ladies that I grew up listening to. But I honestly just allow myself to go with the flow of it. Yes, I allow myself to go with the flow of it. I've collaborated with, a number of artists. To be honest, I was holding up of collaborations for a bit because I was still trying to understand myself as an artist. And as I'm saying, I really try not to be influenced by other artists for my creative process. But I've worked with the likes of Busi Ngosi. She's an artist from Soweto. I love her voice. She's a songstress, I've collaborated production-wise with Kevin, Eternal Kev. I've collaborated with Joint Pusher, who's on my current project right now. And I'm expanding. There's a lot of producers that are reaching out to me, producers that are also as experimental as me. So the collaborations are usually people that, are still also just trying to find the sound and we finding each other. Right now I'm looking at a project with Tux, is a producer that I'm currently trying to put something together with. And basically those are the type of collaborations that I'm currently doing. And then I have an artist from Pretoria, Stan B. He's quite good. He's quite well known that side. He's on my single sometimes. The music video is on YouTube as well. I actually won that collaboration through a competition. I submitted a new track and he liked it. And the prize was, the music video. So he hooked up and that happened. But yeah, I'm still finding artists that I feel like we can do something with. I'm also getting out of my comfort zone of keeping my music to myself. I'm now starting to expand and collaborate with a number of whoever wants to collaborate. There's a lot of stages that, I'm warming up to. I was on the Leano stage in Maboneng on Women's Day. I've always wanted to try out that stage, I also want to see if I can curate something there. So actually getting an opportunity to be on that stage and experiencing it, and also again seeing the response from the audience was a nice highlight for me. I've been going to Hell's Kitchen. There's an open mic session that happens there. I think it's first Tuesdays or last Tuesdays of the month. And it's usually hosted by The Brother Moves On and Malcolm Gianni and Urban Village. Those are artists I also really resonate with in terms of sound, because I'm also kind of gravitating to using my native language in my music now. I've always so now I'm trying to incorporate Sesotho sa ko gae, Setswana into my music. So those artists I'm resonating with right now because I love what they do. I love how they deliver the message, and I've always been a jazz lover, so they already hooked me with that one. So yeah, that's also a nice stage for me that I have been, going on. Firstly, because I get to experience these artists and they also get to see what I can do. So that's why I enjoy going to that open mic. And yeah, when universe allows, I believe we'll do something. How I handle stress is usually, well, I'm quite an introvert. I'm usually in the house a lot. So how I handle stress is to write, is to sleep. I sleep a lot when I'm stressed. But yes, it's mostly to write and to my support system, my friends, my little small circle of people that I can go and just be normal and human with without having to, try and figure out how to life. I go there for advice. I go there for a cry, and music. I write a lot. Like I'm saying, a lot of my projects they would come together from, maybe I'm going through something. Writing is an easier outlet for me because, as I say, I tend to bottle up a lot. It's a lot easier for me to write about it than to actually go and tell somebody about it. So I write, and I design and create things. So creativity is my outlet to all of that, and what motivates me usually, it's actually just coming out on the other side, hey, because it really does become a dip. It becomes a very, very dark and narrow dip. So just being able to feel alive again and feel like, okay, it's not as bad as I thought, and here we go with another day. For me, those are my motivations, my meditations, and then I go visit babies. So whoever has a child, my friends, my sisters, I just go and I go, babies give me that, high vibration. So, that's what I do.
And it's a wrap.